I've been busy in my garden this summer, removing shrubs, planting shrubs, rejuvenating shrubs, so this video is an update on all things shrub related.
We want a shrubbery!
Today we're going to talk about removing some English holly that I've had in my front yard, also planting some New Jersey tea, underplanting my hydrangea with some perennials, and then checking in on some earlier projects. So earlier this year, I moved my oak leaf hydrangea from the backyard to the front yard, and I gave my boxwoods a really hard pruning. I actually posted a couple videos. The links are in the description, and we'll be checking on those in just a little bit. So the first project, removing those holly shrubs. I inherited a couple of English holly shrubs in my front yard when I moved to this house, and I actually debated keeping them for a few reasons. One, they're actually not invasive in my area, so there's really no harm in keeping them. Two, they are evergreen shrubs, and I did like the structure that they provide in the front yard in wintertime. The third thing is that I thought I might like to use the holly sprigs as Christmas decoration, but it's been 3 Christmases now since we've been living in this house, and I have yet to use them. And besides, I mean, who am I kidding? Really, I just want to plant as many natives as I can, so those hollies probably didn't stand a chance anyway. So first I cut back as much of the branches as I could. That way I could really get in there without getting poked too much. And then after that, I just got a shovel and kind of worked around the roots. I dug them as much as I could. I got as much of the roots out as I could. My plan was not to get every single bit of root and do this perfectly. I figure if I got most of it, that would be good enough. And if anything resprouted, I could kind of just like see it and prune it out as they came up. That's sort of my philosophy with like 95% of the weeds in my yard, is just to be more stubborn than the weeds. And it usually works out okay. So after the holly shrubs were gone, I planted 5 New Jersey tea in their place. So I went through like a million different ideas for what I might plant here, but I ultimately landed on New Jersey tea for a few reasons. So first of all, they are deciduous, they're not evergreen, so that's a bit of a bummer, I guess, but also it's nice that they're allowing a little bit more light to reach the rhododendron that's next to them. This thing was really struggling and kind of leaning away from where the hollies were because they just didn't let quite as much light through. Another reason the rhododendron was struggling, I think, is just because of the size of the holly shrubs. So holly is actually a tree. So every year I was really pruning these things pretty aggressively to maintain a like shrub size on them. But the New Jersey tea are actually only gonna get about 3 or 4 feet tall. So they're not gonna sort of like bully the neighboring plants in quite the same way that the English holly was. So I think with the light and a little bit more space and breathing room, the rhododendron is gonna do a lot better. Now, I don't love this rhododendron, so I don't know what I should do with it. It's got these bright pink flowers, and I don't love brightly colored flowers. That's just not my vibe. And they're truly like a neon Barbie pink that will sear your eyeballs in the springtime when it's blooming. And it also is the only thing blooming when it blooms, and it's really far to the side of the house. So it's kind of like really unbalanced It's super bright and it's in this super loud color that I don't love. So I don't know. I'm not sure what I should do with it. I'm trying to decide, maybe I should get rid of it. Please tell me in the comments what you think I should do with this thing. Is it even worth keeping? If I don't like the color, should I move it? What should I do with this thing? I don't know. Anyway, I'm leaving it there for now because I'm indecisive. So anyway, moving on. As I mentioned, earlier this spring, I moved an oak leaf hydrangea from my backyard to my front yard. And once it had a chance to settle in, I added some perennials around it. So I had a few peony plants that were really struggling on the side of my house. So they were in this very narrow bed up against the house, and the bed really didn't get any moisture at all. It was under the overhang of the house. It was just not a good place for really any plant, if I'm being honest. I think I'm actually going to put pavers in this area and just not worry about trying to make plants grow in there at all. Anyhow, so the peonies, I took them out of there and I moved them out in front near this oak leaf hydrangea. And I also took some Monarda Bradburyana that I had started a couple winters ago. I had them in a temporary location, so I just dug them up and put them right here. And then I also added in some palm sedge. I don't know if I love the palm sedge there, but we'll see. Maybe it'll grow on me. But I basically just added it because I had some. So palm sedge reseeds really easily, and I had some random volunteers in the yard, and I figure I'll just scoop them up and put them here and see what happens. It's good enough for now. So I've got palm sedge and Monarda and the peonies there. So I don't know, we'll see. We'll see if I like it. The other thing is the peonies are pink, and I know it's starting to sound like I just hate pink, which is not the case, but I do have this plan that the front yard is going to be white and blue flowers and a little bit of yellow, and the pink doesn't really fit in with that. I've been obsessed with the idea of putting in crinkle white peonies, which are this old school peony with white petals and yellow centers, but I don't know, peonies are kind of expensive, so I'm gonna live with this for now and see if I like what I've got. I've got a million other projects and, these may grow on me. Who knows? Okay, so checking in on a couple projects from earlier in the spring. So like I mentioned, this oak leaf hydrangea, I moved it from the backyard. I wanted to give you a quick update on how it's doing. So it is looking great. I think it really likes the new location. It used to get a lot more sun throughout the day, and it was a little drier location, kind of up against our garage. And now it's getting dappled shade throughout the day and a lot more soil moisture. It's just doing a lot better in terms of the location. I think it also really needed some pruning. Some of the branches that I pruned out, I noticed that they only had leaves at the very ends, and the stems were kind of starting to hollow and get a little brown inside. I don't know if that's normal, but to me it looked kind of unhealthy. So now I'm noticing a ton of new growth sprouting from the base of the plant. I left about a third of the branches on so that I didn't shock the plant when I moved it. And next spring, I'm gonna prune out the last few of those really large branches. And then I think we should be in pretty good shape at that point for it to regrow into a really healthy shrub. Last but not least, checking in on those boxwoods. So I pruned these back pretty hard this spring. One of them I had actually done a year prior. So here's what they looked like right after I pruned them. It was a bunch of sticks. So the rejuvenation pruning, I think, has worked really well. They put on a lot of growth over the season, and it's all really healthy looking. Normally, the advice with pruning boxwoods is don't remove more than a third of the plant at a time. I did a little bit of research, and I think that the reason I was able to prune these so hard was because they were so very old and large. So they were at least 7 feet tall, maybe 8. They were really old. They had a lot of growth. And I think that meant they had a lot of energy in the roots. So I was able to cut them back really hard, and they had enough energy to re-sprout and really put on some good growth throughout this growing season. But I think that if they were smaller, it would have been too much. One thing though is they are looking a little bit awkward and ugly. So Throughout the next few seasons, I'm going to be working on pruning these into a little bit of a nicer shape. So that's, I think, going to be an ongoing process though. Another thing that I worked on with the boxwoods was getting rid of boxwood psyllids. Boxwood psyllids are these little sap-sucking insects that lay eggs in the leaf buds, and it creates this sort of cupping at the ends of the branches. They kind of look like little balls, and then it also can cause some yellowing on the leaves. It's actually not harmful to the plant, it just does look a little unsightly with the yellowing. I learned that you can get rid of them a couple of ways. You can either spray a soapy solution on the plant, and that kills them, or you can hose off the plants on a weekly basis throughout the growing season, and that will just keep them off the leaves and disrupt their reproductive cycle. But either one that you do, you kind of need to stay on top of it all growing season just to make sure that they can't continue their life cycle. So I actually tried both methods just to really cover my bases. I sprayed soapy solution on a few times. I also hosed them off once a week throughout the summer, and it doesn't look like there's any new damage. So fingers crossed on that. We'll see. Next year will really be the proof to see if there's any new damage in the spring. Okay, so that's the update on my various shrub projects. I'm running out of time for garden projects this year, I realized. So there are some things that are gonna have to be on hold until next year. One of them, I think, is that hypertufa planter that I've been wanting to make for the front yard. I wanna get my prairie garden planted in my backyard. I also really wanna create a fire pit area before the fall weather arrives. Both of those are projects going on in my backyard, and I'll share more about that soon. Hope you're all enjoying this break from the heat. Stay safe out there. Until next time, bye-bye.